A struggling maid discovers a diary buried deep within a millionaire's mansion, only to unveil a shocking truth that ties her late husband to the enigmatic tycoon, Jason Harlow. As secrets unravel, the revelation threatens to change her life and her son's forever. Emma Scott wakes up to another day of juggling her roles as a single mother and a struggling worker. Her 8-year-old son, Ethan, is her entire world, a bright and curious child who dreams of becoming an artist. Life for Emma, however, is anything but a dream. Since the sudden passing of her husband, Peter, she's worked tirelessly in multiple jobs to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. The weight of unpaid bills and the pressure to provide the life Ethan deserves make every day a battle. When Emma receives an offer to work as a live-in maid at the mansion of Jason Harlow, a wealthy but mysterious businessman, she sees it as her lifeline. The pay is far better than anything she's earned before, and it means she can finally stop working late shifts that keep her away from Ethan. Packing their modest belongings into a worn suitcase, Emma moves into the mansion, determined to make this new chapter work. Jason Harlow's mansion looms on the outskirts of the city, its grandeur both captivating and intimidating. A self-made millionaire, Jason has spent years building his business empire, yet his success has come at a heavy cost. Behind the walls of his luxurious home, Jason leads a lonely, isolated life. Haunted by the tragic death of his younger brother Peter, Jason hides his pain behind a cold and detached exterior. His only companion is Mr. Thomas, his loyal but rigid butler, who ensures the house operates with military precision. On her first day, Emma is struck by the stark contrast between Jason's sterile, lifeless mansion and her own chaotic but loving home. Mr. Thomas greets her with a list of strict rules. Stay out of the private study. Don't question Jason's behavior, and never interact with him unless spoken to first. Jason himself makes only a brief, curt appearance, leaving Emma feeling unwelcome and out of place. Despite the uninviting atmosphere, Emma resolves to focus on her work, knowing that this job is her ticket to a better future for Ethan. One evening, while tidying Jason's study, Emma accidentally stumbles upon a hidden drawer. Inside, she discovers an old leather-bound diary. Its worn cover and faint smell of ink suggest it hasn't been touched in years. Torn between her sense of professionalism and growing curiosity, Emma hesitates before finally opening it. The diary's pages reveal a side of Jason she never imagined. He writes about his close bond with his younger brother Peter, and the rift that tore them apart years ago. Jason's regret and pain seep through every word, painting a picture of a man burdened by loss. Tucked between the pages, Emma finds a photograph of a smiling young Jason with Peter. Her heart stops as she notices the striking resemblance between Peter and her late husband, Peter Scott. Shaken, Emma clutches the photo and diary. Could it be a coincidence? Or is there a deeper connection between her family and Jason's that she never knew? As the questions swirl in her mind, Emma realizes that the answers could change everything she thought she knew about her and Ethan's future. Emma's life at the mansion slowly takes shape, though the weight of her discovery remains heavy on her mind. By day, she throws herself into her duties, scrubbing marble floors and tidying rooms that seem untouched by life. By night, her thoughts wander to the secrets in Jason's diary, particularly the photo of Peter, whose familiar features haunt her dreams. Meanwhile, Ethan's natural curiosity starts to uncover the layers of the mansion that had remained dormant for years. One sunny afternoon, he ventures into the mansion's vast library, marveling at the rows of books that stretch to the ceiling. There, he encounters Jason for the first time since their arrival. Jason, who had been sitting quietly by the fireplace, looks up, startled by the boy's presence. "Do you like books?" Jason asks, his voice softer than Emma expected. Ethan, ever enthusiastic, nods and picks up a book about ocean exploration from the nearest shelf. His innocent excitement stirs something in Jason, who remembers Peter's love for adventure and discovery. Though hesitant, Jason starts a conversation with Ethan about the book, sharing stories from his own childhood. Over the next few days, Jason and Ethan begin to form a fragile connection. Ethan's warmth and curiosity act as a balm for Jason's guarded soul, while Jason's patient explanations about the mansion and its history captivate the boy. For Emma, watching their bond grow is both heartwarming and unsettling. The sight of Jason and Ethan together feels strangely familiar, as though she's witnessing something from a past life. But Ethan's explorations also lead to complications. While wandering through one of the older wings of the mansion, he stumbles across Jason's private study, the room Emma had promised herself she wouldn't enter again. Ethan's discovery of a peculiar-looking key sparks his curiosity further. Emma catches him just in time, her heart racing as she ushers him away. Despite her attempts to maintain boundaries, the secrets of the mansion seem determined to reveal themselves. Emma begins to suspect that her presence here isn't just a coincidence. The tension builds as her loyalty to her job clashes with her growing need for answers. As Ethan's bond with Jason deepens, Emma begins to notice subtle changes in the household. Jason, once reclusive and cold, seems to find solace in Ethan's energy. He spends more time outside his private study, occasionally joining Emma and Ethan during breakfast. For Jason, these moments are a quiet revelation. Ethan's innocence and zest for life remind him of the family he lost, and the family he might still have a chance to protect. One evening, Jason takes Ethan to the greenhouse, a part of the estate long abandoned since Peter's passing. The glass walls are covered in dust, and the once vibrant plants are overgrown and wilted. This was Peter's favorite place, Jason confesses, his voice tinged with sorrow. Ethan's eyes light up at the prospect of reviving the greenhouse, and Jason, moved by the boy's enthusiasm, agrees to let him help restore it. Meanwhile, Emma struggles with the growing complexity of her feelings. The sight of Jason laughing with Ethan stirs both hope and fear. She fears Jason's growing attachment to Ethan will lead to heartbreak if the truth about their shared connection comes to light. Emma spends her evenings rereading the diary, seeking clues that could help her piece together the story. Each entry paints a picture of Jason and Peter's childhood shared dreams, their fallout, and Jason's lingering regret. One fateful afternoon, Ethan stumbles upon the diary while looking for a book in Emma's room. "What's this?" he asks innocently, holding it up to her. Panic flashes across Emma's face as she takes it from him. "It's just an old book, sweetie," she replies, tucking it away quickly. But Ethan's curiosity is piqued, and Emma knows it's only a matter of time before he digs deeper. Later that week, Jason invites Emma and Ethan to join him for dinner, a rare gesture that surprises both of them. Over the course of the meal, Jason shares stories about his business ventures and Peter's adventurous spirit. Ethan listens intently, his eyes wide with fascination. At one point, he blurts out, "You remind me of my dad." The room falls silent. Jason looks at Emma, his expression unreadable, while Emma's heart pounds in her chest. Jason changes the subject quickly, but the tension lingers long after the meal ends. For the first time, Jason begins to wonder if there's more to Emma's story than she's letting on. He resolves to uncover the truth, even if it means confronting the past he's tried so hard to bury. Jason's suspicions grow as small details about Emma and Ethan begin to align with memories of his late brother, Peter. He starts observing Emma more closely, noting the familiar way Ethan's eyes light up when he talks about his father. Quietly, Jason begins to search for answers. He combs through old letters and photographs in his study, looking for anything that might connect him to Emma and Ethan. One evening, Jason finds an old photograph of himself and Peter during their childhood. The image sparks memories of their bond, their dreams of building a legacy together, and the argument that tore them apart. With the photo clutched in his hand, Jason wonders if the child Peter left behind could be closer than he ever imagined. Unaware of Jason's internal struggle, Ethan continues to bring light and laughter to the mansion. His enthusiasm for restoring the greenhouse becomes infectious, drawing both Jason and Emma into the project. As they work together, Emma sees glimpses of a man she hadn't thought possible, a caring, vulnerable Jason who smiles more often and seems at ease around Ethan. However, the cracks in Jason's stoic facade deepen when Ethan innocently mentions a story his mother once told him about his father. "Mom said Dad had a brother who was always there for him, no matter what," Ethan says, his voice filled with admiration. Jason freezes, his mind racing. He doesn't press the boy for more information, but feels the walls of his carefully guarded life beginning to close in. Later that night, Emma finds Jason in the library, sitting in the dim light with a glass of whiskey in hand. He's staring at the photograph of Peter, his expression a mix of pain and longing. Gathering her courage, Emma approaches him. "Jason," she says softly, "I think there's something we need to talk about." Jason looks up, his eyes heavy with emotion, but before Emma can speak further, Ethan bursts into the room, holding a sketch he made of the greenhouse. The growing tension between Jason and Emma comes to a head when Ethan stumbles into the mansion's greenhouse late one afternoon. While exploring its labyrinth of overgrown vines and broken flower pots, Ethan trips on a loose stone, falling and scraping his knee. His cries echo through the estate, drawing Jason and Emma to the scene in a panic. Jason reaches Ethan first, scooping him up with uncharacteristic tenderness. "You're okay, champ," he says, inspecting the wound and using his scarf to gently stop the bleeding. Ethan sniffles but nods, visibly comforted by Jason's care. Emma arrives moments later, her face pale with worry. She crouches beside Ethan, taking his small hand in hers. As Jason helps carry Ethan back to the house, the weight of the moment strikes both him and Emma. Jason can't shake the image of himself as a boy, clinging to Peter in moments of need. Emma, on the other hand, sees Jason in a new light, a man capable of love and protection, despite his hardened exterior. Back in the mansion, with Ethan safely bandaged and resting in his room, Jason decides he can no longer avoid the truth. He summons Emma to his study, where the atmosphere is heavy with unspoken words. "Emma," Jason begins, his voice measured but firm. "I need to know. The photograph in my diary, how do you have it?" Emma takes a deep breath, her hands trembling as she retrieves the diary from her bag. "Jason, I think Peter was my husband," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. The confession lands like a thunderclap, and for a moment, Jason says nothing, his expression unreadable. "Peter," Jason murmurs, his gaze distant as he processes the revelation. "He left after our fight. I never thought—" His voice breaks, and he turns away, his shoulders heavy with regret. "Why didn't I know? Why didn't he tell me?" Emma steps closer, her own emotions threatening to spill over. "He tried to protect us. He never wanted to burden you, Jason. But when he passed, I didn't know where else to turn. I didn't even realize—" She falters, struggling to find the right words. Jason finally meets her eyes, the pain and longing in his expression cutting through the barriers he's built. "Emma, if what you're saying is true, then Ethan is all I have left of him." The confession solidifies their bond, but it also sets the stage for the inevitable reckoning with the past. Jason's resolve to protect Ethan and make amends for his estrangement from Peter grows stronger. Emma, too, finds herself opening up to the possibility of trust and healing, though the path ahead is uncertain. The truth about Ethan's lineage creates a whirlwind of emotions for both Jason and Emma. While Jason wrestles with regret over his estranged relationship with Peter, Emma worries about how the revelation will affect Ethan's future. The atmosphere in the mansion shifts. The once silent halls are now filled with conversations that dance around the heart of the matter, as both Jason and Emma try to find the courage to confront their fears head-on. One evening, Jason invites Emma to his study, determined to discuss their shared connection in detail. The room is dimly lit, and the weight of the conversation hangs in the air as Emma takes a seat across from him. Jason begins with an apology, his voice tinged with remorse. "I don't know how I let my brother slip away. If I had known he had a family, if I had known about you and Ethan, I would have done things differently." Emma nods, her expression softening. Peter never blamed you, Jason. He always spoke of you with pride, even when things were difficult between you two. He wanted to reach out, but he felt it was too late. Jason looks at her, his eyes clouded with pain. It was too late, for him and for me. But it's not too late for Ethan. I want to be a part of his life, Emma, if you'll let me. The sincerity in Jason's voice takes Emma by surprise, but she knows she must tread carefully. Before she can respond, a loud crash echoes from the greenhouse. Both Jason and Emma rush outside to find Ethan on the ground, surrounded by shattered glass. A toppled ladder lies nearby, and Ethan is clutching his arm in pain. Jason kneels beside him, panic etched on his face. "Ethan, are you hurt?" Ethan winces, tears streaming down his cheeks. "I just wanted to fix the window," he sobs, pointing to a broken pane in the greenhouse ceiling. Jason lifts Ethan into his arms, his voice trembling as he reassures the boy. "You're going to be okay, champ. I've got you." As Jason carries Ethan back into the house, Emma follows closely, her heart pounding with fear and gratitude. Jason's protective instincts remind her of Peter, and for the first time, she begins to see Jason as more than just a grieving brother or a distant employer. In the quiet hours that follow, as the doctor bandages Ethan's arm, Jason and Emma sit together in silence. The near accident has shaken them both, but it also underscores the fragile bond that ties them together. Jason finally breaks the silence, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Emma, I don't want to lose another chance to make things right. I need to be there for Ethan, not just as a guardian, but as family." Ethan's accident serves as a turning point for Jason, solidifying his determination to step into a meaningful role in Ethan's life. The next morning, Jason joins Ethan for breakfast, a rare occurrence that surprises both Emma and Ethan. As they eat, Jason engages Ethan in conversation about favorite hobbies and school projects, fostering a sense of connection that feels both natural and his overdue. "Mom says you're really good at chess," Ethan says, his voice filled with curiosity. "Can you teach me sometime?" Jason smiles, a faint glimmer of pride breaking through his usual stoicism. "Of course, champ. Your Uncle Peter loved chess too. He used to beat me every single time." Emma watches the exchange quietly, her emotions swirling. The sight of Jason and Ethan bonding stirs both hope and fear. She knows Jason's intentions are sincere, but she can't shake the worry that Ethan's attachment to Jason might lead to heartbreak if their fragile connection falters. Later that day, Jason approaches Emma in the kitchen, his expression earnest. "I want to do more for Ethan," he begins, leaning against the counter. "I've been thinking about setting up a trust for his education, something that ensures he'll have every opportunity, no matter what." Emma hesitates, overwhelmed by the gesture. "Jason, that's incredibly generous, but Ethan doesn't need your money. He needs stability, someone he can count on. If you're serious about being in his life, it has to be about more than just financial support." Jason nods, her words striking a chord. "I understand," he says softly. "That's why I need to earn his trust, and yours. I can't undo the past, but I can try to be the kind of person Peter would have wanted me to be." As Jason and Emma navigate their growing partnership, Ethan remains blissfully unaware of the emotional undercurrents around him. His excitement about the greenhouse project continues to bring life to the mansion, and Jason finds himself drawn into the boys' world. Together, they plant new seeds and clear away the overgrowth, transforming the neglected space into a vibrant sanctuary. During one of their afternoons in the greenhouse, Ethan innocently asks a question that catches Jason off guard. "Do you think my dad would have liked this?" Jason pauses, his heart heavy with the weight of Ethan's question. "I think he would have loved it," Jason replies, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. "He always believed in building things that could grow and thrive, just like you're doing here." Ethan beams at the response, but Emma, standing nearby, feels tears prick her eyes. Jason's words, though simple, carry a depth of sincerity that she hadn't expected. For the first time, She allows herself to imagine a future where Jason plays an active role in Ethan's life, not just as an uncle, but as a father figure. Jason's efforts to connect with Ethan continue to blossom, but as their bond strengthens, the weight of unresolved emotions grows heavier for both Jason and Emma. One evening, as the three of them sit by the fireplace, Ethan sketches quietly while Jason and Emma share a rare moment of open conversation. "Peter always talked about the stars," Jason says, his gaze fixed on the crackling flames. "He believed they were reminders of all the things we can't see but are still connected to. I never understood that until now." Emma listens intently, her heart aching at the vulnerability in Jason's voice. "He used to tell me the same thing," she says softly. "On the nights when things felt impossible, he'd look at the sky and say, 'The stars have been here long before us and will remain long after.' That kind of permanence is comforting, isn't it?" Jason smiles faintly, his expression a mixture of fondness and regret. "I wish I could have heard him say that. Instead, I wasted so much time being angry, thinking he abandoned our family when all he wanted was freedom from the weight of our arguments." Emma reaches for Jason's hand, her touch hesitant but reassuring. "You have a chance to make things right now, Jason. Ethan needs someone who understands where he comes from, someone who can show him the strength in his roots." Their moment is interrupted when Ethan proudly holds up his sketch, a drawing of their newly restored greenhouse under a starry sky. "Do you like it?" he asks eagerly, looking between Jason and Emma. Jason takes the drawing, his eyes scanning the careful details Ethan has captured. "I don't just like it, Ethan," he says with a warm smile. "I love it. You're incredibly talented." Ethan beams at the praise, and Emma can't help but smile. The bond between Jason and Ethan feels more natural with each passing day, but Emma knows that the unspoken truth about their shared connection must soon be addressed. The following morning, Jason makes a bold decision. He invites Emma and Ethan to join him for a trip to his family's old lake house, a place steeped in memories of his childhood with Peter. The drive is filled with stories about Jason's past, and by the time they arrive, Ethan is eager to explore the property. As Ethan runs ahead, Jason and Emma take a quiet walk by the water. Jason pauses, his gaze fixed on the rippling surface. "Emma, there's something I need to say," he begins, his voice low but steady. "I've spent so much of my life hiding from the past, but you and Ethan have made me realize that it's time to face it head on. I want to do whatever it takes to be a part of your lives, not as a replacement for Peter, but as someone who honors his memory." Jason's words hang in the air, heavy with sincerity. Emma hesitates, her emotions swirling as she grapples with the implications of letting Jason fully into their lives. "Jason," she says softly, her eyes meeting his, "this isn't just about honoring Peter. This is about Ethan and what's best for him. If you're serious about being in his life, you have to be ready to commit, not just for now, but for the long haul." Jason nods, his expression resolute. "I know, Emma. I've spent too long running from responsibility and letting guilt dictate my actions. But being with you and Ethan has shown me what I've been missing. I'm ready to step up, not just as Peter's brother, but as someone Ethan can count on." Their conversation is interrupted by Ethan's excited shouts from the lake. He's found an old wooden rowboat tied to the dock and is waving enthusiastically for Jason and Emma to join him. The two adults exchange a glance, their shared smile reflecting the cautious hope growing between them. As they climb into the boat, Jason begins to share stories of his childhood adventures with Peter at the lake house, how they'd row out to the middle of the lake and pretend they were explorers charting uncharted waters. Ethan listens intently, his laughter ringing out as Jason animatedly recounts their misadventures. Midway through their excursion, Jason pauses, his voice softening. "Ethan, there's something I want to tell you," he begins, his tone careful but steady. Emma stiffens slightly, but she doesn't interrupt. "Your dad, my brother, was one of the most incredible people I've ever known. He was kind, brave, and always knew how to find the best in people. You remind me so much of him. Ethan tilts his head, curious. Did you and Dad fight like I do with my friends sometimes? He asks innocently. Jason chuckles, though there's a trace of sadness in his expression. We did, but no matter what, we always loved each other. And now, I see him in you every day. As they return to shore, Ethan's questions grow, and Jason answers them with a level of openness he hadn't thought himself capable of before. Emma watches from the sidelines, her heart full as she sees Jason embrace his role as both an uncle and a father figure. Later that evening, as Ethan sleeps soundly in the lake house, Jason and Emma sit together on the porch, the moonlight reflecting off the water. Jason turns to Emma, his voice firm but gentle. Thank you for giving me this chance, Emma. I won't let you or Ethan down. Emma smiles, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. I believe you, Jason, and I think Peter would be proud of the man you're becoming. With the weight of the past finally lifting, Jason and Emma share a quiet moment of understanding. They know there's still work to be done, but for the first time, the future feels like a promise worth keeping. Jason's words hang in the air, heavy with sincerity. Emma hesitates, her emotions swirling as she grapples with the implications of letting Jason fully into their lives. Jason, she says softly, her eyes meeting his. This isn't just about honoring Peter. This is about Ethan and what's best for him. If you're serious about being in his life, you have to be ready to commit, not just for now, but for the long haul. Jason nods, his expression resolute. I know, Emma. I've spent too long running from responsibility and letting guilt dictate my actions. But being with you and Ethan has shown me what I've been missing. I'm ready to step up, not just as Peter's brother, but as someone Ethan can count on. Their conversation is interrupted by Ethan's excited shouts from the lake. He's found an old wooden rowboat tied to the dock and is waving enthusiastically for Jason and Emma to join him. The two adults exchange a glance, their shared smile reflecting the cautious hope growing between them. As they climb into the boat, Jason begins to share stories of his childhood adventures with Peter at the lake house, how they'd row out to the middle of the lake and pretend they were explorers charting uncharted waters. Ethan listens intently, his laughter ringing out as Jason animatedly recounts their misadventures. Midway through their excursion, Jason pauses, his voice softening. Ethan, there's something I want to tell you, he begins, his tone careful but steady. Emma stiffens slightly, but she doesn't interrupt. Your dad, my brother, was one of the most incredible people I've ever known. He was kind, brave, and always knew how to find the best in people. You remind me so much of him. Ethan tilts his head, curious. Did you and Dad fight like I do with my friends sometimes? He asks innocently. Jason chuckles, though there's a trace of sadness in his expression. We did. But no matter what, we always loved each other. And now, I see him in you every day. As they return to shore, Ethan's questions grow, and Jason answers them with a level of openness he hadn't thought himself capable of before. Emma watches from the sidelines, her heart full as she sees Jason embrace his role as both an uncle and a father figure. Later that evening, as Ethan sleeps soundly in the lake house, Jason and Emma sit together on the porch, the moonlight reflecting off the water. Jason turns to Emma, his voice firm but gentle. Thank you for giving me this chance, Emma. I won't let you or Ethan down. Emma smiles, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. I believe you, Jason, and I think Peter would be proud of the man you're becoming. With the weight of the past finally lifting, Jason and Emma share a quiet moment of understanding. They know there's still work to be done, but for the first time, the future feels like a promise worth keeping. Months pass, and the once somber Harlow mansion is now a beacon of life and activity. The foundation Jason established in Peter's name has grown rapidly, thanks to Emma's leadership and Jason's relentless dedication. The mansion frequently hosts community events, mentoring workshops, and gatherings for the foundation's beneficiaries. What was once a place of isolation has become a symbol of hope and opportunity. Jason's transformation is evident to everyone who knows him. He no longer hides in his study or avoids meaningful connections. Instead, he actively participates in the lives of those around him, from mentoring young people in the foundation to playing chess with Ethan every evening. Ethan, too, is thriving. His confidence has blossomed, and his natural curiosity has been nurtured through Jason's guidance and Emma's unwavering support. His artistic talents are on full display during a foundation art showcase, where his sketches of the greenhouse and mansion draw admiration from attendees. Jason proudly stands by Ethan's side, introducing him to guests and sharing stories about the boy's creativity. Emma, meanwhile, finds a sense of fulfillment she hadn't thought possible. Her role in the foundation allows her to use her skills to help others, and the partnership she's built with Jason has become one of mutual respect and shared purpose. The once daunting mansion now feels like a home, filled with laughter, love, and new memories. One afternoon, Jason calls Emma and Ethan into the newly restored greenhouse. Inside, they find a table set for 3, surrounded by blooming flowers and the soft hum of bees. Jason smiles as he hands Ethan a small wrapped gift. "This is for you, champ," he says. Ethan eagerly unwraps the package to reveal a beautifully crafted chess set. The pieces are carved from polished wood, each one unique. "Wow, this is amazing," Ethan exclaims, his eyes shining with excitement. Jason kneels to Ethan's level. "Your dad loved chess, and he would have been so proud to see how much you've learned. I hope this reminds you of him, and of how much you mean to me." Emma watches the exchange, tears welling in her eyes. She steps closer to Jason, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you, Jason, for everything." Jason stands and looks at Emma, his expression filled with gratitude and warmth. "I should be thanking you, Emma. You and Ethan gave me something I thought I'd lost forever, a family." In the weeks that follow, Emma and Ethan move into a cozy cottage near the mansion, a home Jason insists on gifting them as part of his commitment to their future. The cottage is filled with Emma's personal touches and Ethan's artwork, creating a space that feels uniquely theirs. The story comes full circle during a dinner held in the mansion's dining room. Jason, Emma, Ethan, and a few close friends from the foundation gather around the table, sharing stories and laughter. The once empty dining room is now alive with warmth and joy, a testament to the transformation each of them has undergone. As the evening winds down, Jason raises a glass and says, "To Peter." His memory brought us together, and his spirit lives on in everything we do. Everyone joins in the toast, their faces lit with a mixture of love and hope. In the final moments, Jason reflects on the journey that brought them to this point. "Sometimes life has a way of surprising you," he says, his voice steady. "The people you least expect can teach you the most about yourself. And when you open your heart, you find that family isn't just something you're born into. It's something you build."